This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bluecollar Bodybuilding channel. We're here with Big Paul and Mr. Mike from the Muscle Project. What's up, fellas?
Nothing much. What's up, dude?
Not much. I'm recuperating from a lot of walking and a lot of shoulder bumping people at the Expo at the Arnold this weekend with you guys, you know. So it was a good time.
That was a test of my social anxiety. I made it through.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it was one. We got Tanya in the house. What's up, Tanya? Man, I'm telling you, it's one hell of an event, though. I really enjoy the Expo, but boy, does it get crowded. And but you know, if you're in the fitness world, it's pretty cool. It's like one of a kind. You know, you get to see things that you're normally not really into as well. You know, like I'm not the biggest powerlifting follower by any means, but it's pretty cool to see what these guys can do. And then you see, like, I thought the arm wrestling was something I got a pretty good kick out of too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, they.
I went over and Dr. Marv was at the Firefighter games. He was working backstage in case guys got hurt, and I went over there and hung out there for a while. That was also pretty fucking cool watching those guys do their thing, carrying fire hydrants and doing all kinds of cool shit.
Yeah, they get a little something for everybody. It's cool. Absolutely.
We were over at the Panada booth, and it was Mustafa who pulled his shirt off and started posing in the
just started posing
booth. Yeah,
man, it blows the Olympia out of the water. I just like, although the Olympia is in Vegas, I'll give it that. There's more to do after the show.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, you know, I like how everything's kind of confined to the you know, to the Expo. It's really the hub where everyone meets up, because there's really not much going on in Columbus that weekend anywhere else, you know, but they do a good job hosting it. I think the city itself probably looks forward to it, and they handle it well. You know, it's amazing how little traffic there is as well for such a big event. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that show up for this thing every year. I mean, I don't doubt it. They pack that Expo Center.
They said it's now the third largest consumer event in not just fitness event, but just consumer event overall in the country.
In the world.
They said the world? Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's like up there with some of the Comic Cons and stuff. I don't know if this was the official number, but I saw somewhere, I don't remember where it was, that there were around 200,000. They actually sold out tickets for the Expo. They've never done that before. I think 200,000 is their limit.
Yeah, it felt like they oversold it.
I was gonna say,
it was like being in a fucking nightclub on Saturday, man. It was elbow to elbow. You couldn't move.
Yeah.
So
well, my guess was they probably packed 150,000 people in there if they wanted to. I mean, I'm judging off of some of the big sporting events I've gone to, and it's really mind blowing. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it can be a little overwhelming for sure, trying to navigate all the different booths and it is cool. I got to meet a bunch of people, you know, that you know, only know from our online community, so that's always pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's always cool. Man, if I were the Olympia, I would be seriously worried about stepping up my game. I mean, just everything about that. It's just the Expo's better. The show is so smooth. Like, they run everybody through quickly. Like, I never felt bored during the show, except maybe when the fitness competitors were out there. But the show, I mean, it moved really quick. They did. I like the way they do, where they bring everybody out, stagger it, and then do the awards and all that stuff. It just keeps you interested. Like the Olympia, I felt like I was there for 5 fucking hours at finals. It was just I'm like, all right, enough of this stuff. I'm ready to go put some money in a slot machine.
Well, the Arnold's got the big advantage where, you think about it, like there's one thing that Olympia can't get around that Arnold gets around, and that's he's handpicking, who's showing up. So you're limiting it to what, 10 competitors per
10, 12.
category.
I think it's
Yeah, 10,
12,
12.
right?
And then you got just 3 men's categories, I think, and 3 women's categories. So, and then they got wheelchair on top of that. So I think
What was
seven
it?
men's.
What was it last year at the Olympia? I think there were like 80 guys in prejudging at the class. That's just too many.
Yeah. Yeah,
What,
for
what
sure.
they what they should do at the Olympia is have the prejudging earlier. I mean, what they do that they have it there at the Expo, but it should just be the top 10 at finals. Just do the top 10 and split it up 2 nights like they do at the Arnold. Have like half the categories go one night, the other half of the categories go during the day. Yeah, yeah, I think there's just lighting's better at the Arnold. They treat you better. Like I got threatened for using my phone. You remember that shit, Mike, where they were
Yeah,
like
I do.
going around telling people they were going to kick your ass for taking videos. I'm like, go ahead, bro. Fucking, you want to kick my ass for taking a video? I will make you famous on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they're pretty laid back at the Arnold. I mean, you get to snap your photos, and no one was sitting there just streaming away doing anything abusive, of course. But I was able to get some cool pictures of the crowd, and just the environment's pretty sweet. Like I love the just the arena itself that you're doing the actual show, and they nail it all. It's something they can learn from. Every show as well as the Olympia. There's a reason why people gravitate towards the Arnold. It's not that it's just a big ticket, big prize money. It's a lot of fun. It's a good consumer product.
Oh, it's great. It's just they just do everything. It's the gold standard. I think for body. I mean, it would make sense. Everyone has all these connections in Hollywood, and all the production quality, everything is. And I've heard he's like super involved in everything too. That he's very, very meticulous about how everything's put on. I'm going to the Detroit this weekend. I saw some people standing there. So if you see me there, just say hi.
Nice.
The thing about where it's at though is that they really can't get any bigger. They've maxed that facility out, so it's like at some point they're either going to have to consider moving or just stop growing.
I mean, I think the Columbus Convention Center is one of the biggest in the country.
I don't think it's bigger than Las Vegas.
I don't know. I think it is. Let's see. McCormick Place in Chicago is the largest. 0.6 million. I know Las Vegas is bigger.
Yeah,
it's number 2. Didn't feel like it.
Well, there's a lot of wings. Like the main one that the Olympia is usually in. There's a second story to that, and then you walk across the mezzanine, and there's a whole nother huge section. So like when you go there for like SEMA, I've been there for SEMA a couple times. Like it is huge. It's huge.
So yeah, Vegas is number 2. It just didn't feel like it when we were there.
Yeah.
I don't have my light on the whole time. I'm sitting here wondering why I'm all blacked out. There we go.
Now you look beautiful, Dave.
Thank you. That's what I thought. All right.
2 million square feet in Columbus. The Vegas is 2.5 million.
Pal here makes a good point. There's it's so true. The influencers, like it's interesting to see the influencers at like the Young LA booths there. They're getting 4-hour lines, like he's saying. But some of the competitors, like Nick Walker, 15 minutes, 10 minutes to go say hi. It's insane what is it? Young LA is usually a pretty big hit over there, and I'm forgetting the other one.
The fucking Young LA booth looked like a goddamn nightclub.
Yeah.
They had a DJ and everything. It was 2 stories. I was like, holy shit, this is insane, man. I'm in the wrong business. I need to sell clothes to broccoli heads, man.
Yeah, I've got some Young LA. The problem is that I'm old enough to keep accidentally calling it LA Gear.
LA Gear. I remember LA Gear.
That's funny. Well, we had a show to talk about too. It was one heck of an expo. But the show was definitely the main event in my
It was
eyes.
okay.
Just okay. But let me tell you, there's a lot of storylines to get into. Yeah. So let's I'd love to pull up first. And first off, I mean, I guess what was your first reaction there, Paul or Mike, to the show itself? Was it, did we get to see the best of everybody? Or do you think some people were kind of off? Because usually the 3 times I've gone, I'd say that it's been a very consistent show. Everyone comes in shape. This year, I don't know. There's a few people that was a little questionable for sure.
Hadi and Martin were off. They both were off. It was funny. I took it down. I put a post up about Hadi not looking good at prejudging, and and let's put some context. Hadi not looking good is still better than 99.99999% of the bodybuilding world. Him not looking good is being third instead of first. But my God, man, they were ready to hang me up and crucify me. The DMs I got, some people were mad.
Hadi fans are worse than carnivores.
Yeah, they are, man. They're pretty bad. But yeah, Hadi, look, not being critical of the guy. I mean, he's one of the best fucking, top 5 bodybuilder in the world. I mean, the guy's amazing. But he's not the biggest dude. And when you're not the biggest dude out there, you have to be just bang on with your conditioning. And he was just not as crisp as he normally is. Just how it is. I mean, you can. I don't know a way to describe it, but those of you that have been to shows, you guys know you can tell. Like, what was it when he won 2 years ago? Like, as soon as he walked out on stage, I'm like, yeah, nobody's beating that guy.
Absolutely.
I mean,
we saw that kind of with Martin. I mean, excuse me, Derek Lungsford too. Sometimes you see the guy grace the stage and you're immediately putting him in first place in your mind, but you still got to line them up with each other. But sometimes,
I'm like, like I'm not, and I didn't have that impression when Hadi walked out this time. I'm like, oh, he doesn't look like he did in the past. That's not the dude I'm used to seeing up there. He's not the best version of him that I've seen. He was a little soft from behind. Nothing, just film of water. Maybe it's probably stress, to be honest with you. I know the guy puts in the work. Nick was as good as Nick has ever been. I don't know there was anything that he could have done better. I mean, if I were him, I would be very proud of the product that I put out there. He couldn't have done any better than what he did. And Martin, I mean, he was off. I don't know any other way to say that. He just wasn't. I think he got a gift getting 4th place, to be honest with you. Brandon should have been ahead of him.
Well, a couple of things that came out to me that was obvious is, we've been kind of curious about Hadi for a while when it comes to is his legs really starting to kind of catch up to him, with age, like downsizing, and he's been known to not have the most symmetrical quads. And I think you start putting him up against these guys in the lineup, and it just exposes it that much more that he doesn't have the same pop, or at least at this show, certainly did not have the same pop on his lower half that I'm used to seeing with Hadi. A lot of these signature things, like he's usually the one guy in the show that looks like granite all the time. And when he's flowing, it didn't look like that.
I noticed too, I don't know if he had a leg injury or something, but I noticed Hadi's one leg was a little smaller than the other.
Yeah, it's been getting like that for a while, unfortunately.
I know sometimes like guys can have nerve damage from just beating their spine up over the years, and that can affect things. I mean, it's possible. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm highly caffeinated right now.
I mean, ditto. What I was saying that it would have been interesting if they would have, because the way they lined everybody up, me and Dave were talking about this the other day, is that I think Brandon Curry could have probably placed 3rd, but we never even got to compare Brandon to Hadi, right? Like everybody was so into moving around Martin, so we got to compare Martin to Brandon Curry, but I thought Brandon Curry looked better than Hadi if you take some pictures and line them up.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, and especially in Fridays for sure. I thought that was pretty obvious.
I thought at a bare minimum, Brandon should have been in 4th place. Not to take anything away from Martin, but he just wasn't. Lord, I think that's a whole other can of worms, man. God knows where that dude's head's at.
Yeah,
I mean, he clearly. There was a lot of stress and whatever's going on with his life that came bursting out on stage. I'm sure that's not great for your overall performance and look either.
Yeah.
When you're super stressed out and emotional like that, you usually don't bring your best to the stage.
Massive cortisol dump.
The biggest dudes, I mean, the best dudes are usually the calmest ones. I mean, like you listen to Andrew Jack talk afterwards. He was just kind of like, yeah, this bodybuilding is just a thing I do. It's just kind of a hobby. I came out here and did a show. Now I'm back to work. Did you hear him talk about he has a full-time job? He just does this as just for the fuck of it.
Yeah, for his hobby.
He said it's my passion project. I think that's what he said. And he said he was working all day on Saturday. So he was doing work. And then won a show at night. So he's just Andy in accounting or whatever he does. I think he's an electrical engineer actually, but that's crazy. And then he's back to work on Monday.
Well, you nailed it too, Mike. That cortisol drop. You've seen it before with Martin getting flustered on stage. And it's just the same thing happens to a lot of guys. You start getting that, that little bit of anxiety, that a cortisol drop, and you start sweating, and then it snowballs, and it just kind of keeps getting worse. You don't really get out of it. And that was what I saw with Martin too. It seemed like at first I thought he was a little off, and then it started just going backwards. He wasn't improving much, especially on Friday. He started sweating pretty hard. And that's when I knew it wasn't going to be a good showing for him by any means. But I'll tell you what, the one guy that showed up I thought there was a big difference between first and second. When you really look at it, I almost thought that it was a first and second place show, and then there was a small gap, and then there was the rest of the group. It started to become pretty obvious that Nick and Andrew were just battling it out, and everyone else was looking for third and down at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it was those two. I mean, there was nobody else that could have had a shot at first. I was really surprised with the scorecards, though, that I thought for sure that Nick won prejudging. I would have had Nick. I think one judge had Nick in first and prejudging. I don't understand that, but I'm also kind of biased. I'm a Nick fanboy. I'll admit that.
Well, let's pull it up and see what the judging had. So yeah, as we take a look at this, it looks like prejudging and finals, they pretty much judging had Andrew winning both of them right off the bat. Some people had talked about maybe Nick took prejudging, but it just seemed not to be the case in their eyes.
What was the score? 5, 6, and 7. So it was 7. So I mean, they had Nick, and I mean, you can do the math on it. So they throw the top, bottom, and highest score out. So if you got a 9, that means there was 5 second place or 4 second places and one first place.
Mm-hmm.
So one judge had him in first place.
And the same thing.
Yeah.
And then what do we have? Hadi was unanimous third place across, and the same thing.
Yeah.
Mine, unanimous fourth. Brandon unanimous. Wow, surprisingly unanimous fifth place.
Yep.
And then pretty much gone down. It's pretty obvious to everybody how that was lined up, which
I
I disagree.
The scoring on Andrew's got to be a mistake. That can't be right. It can't be 7 at finals. That doesn't add up. It had to be in a 6. That's a mistake. So one person had him in 6.
I see.
One person had him in second. Yeah, that's got to be a mistake.
Yeah, because the Nick's score would have been off. Would have been different.
It would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty close.
Well, one judge agreed with me.
Well, it kind of backs up a little bit what I'm saying here too, is that they didn't have unanimous decision on first and second. There was a little mix around here, where the rest of the judging from third place down, the judges saw it all the same. They had Hadi, Martin, Brandon all the way down to 10th place, all pretty unanimous for where these guys were placing. It was number 1 and 2 that they.
That's pretty crazy that they all had everybody placed the same. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
but you never know,
I always laugh when people say politics and all that stuff. I'm like, do you really think they can get 7 people to agree on something? I mean, seriously, give me a fucking break. Yeah. Now they do change their criteria. I'd heard, I don't know if this is true, that I don't know who knows if this is true, but I heard from some people that they said that they were going to prioritize the bigger, more symmetrical guys this year. I'm more of a conditioning guy. I'm kind of old school. I like seeing dudes just fucking shredded to the bone on stage. And that was Nick. Nick had the best conditioning in the open. I mean, he was hands down the best condition, but structurally, Andrew's superior to everybody else.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. I don't know what you guys think. I think bodybuilding's quickly heading towards aesthetics are just as much of a must to a point. Like, the conditioning has to be there. You can't have all the aesthetics in the world and show up fat. We know that. But when you get a guy like Andrew that's starting to improve his conditioning time and time again, and he's on the rise up right now.
Well, people forget too. Like I get this with the Hadi fans. That the criteria for judging it's size, it's symmetry, it's presentation, it's conditioning.
Yeah,
like you can be the biggest dude on stage and not in the most conditioned and not win if your presentation sucks.
It seems like a recurring conversation though in bodybuilding. Like I remember when Sean Roden won, and everybody's like, I think he won the Olympia, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is a new generation. We're going back to the old school look of these super symmetrical, really pretty muscle guys like Sean Roden." And then right after that, like Nick comes on the scene, it's just a total freak, and it's when it shows. I just think the trends change. I don't know if there's like a permanent look that everybody's looking for, the progressive look that everybody's looking for.
Well, I think the head judge sort of sets that. I mean, I've always been. I think Tyler was the head judge there. I don't know.
I think Steve was because I
know Steve's a conditioning guy. Steve likes guys to be fucking shredded. I think Tyler's more of a shape guy. I don't know.
You know how I know it was Steve that calling out the shots? Because it's not only his voice, but also back lat spread, side tricep. It's always like that at every show. Back lat spread right into side tricep. We know that all the time. Now, next time you watch a show and Steve's calling out the posing,
I hate going for the back lat spread into the side tricep. I hate that as a competitor. To me, it makes more sense to go from side chest to side tricep, but I guess it's the way he likes to look at it.
This picture here is a good example in my mind why pitchers don't do everything. Because right now you look at this photo of Hadi and you're just like, where was he off? Right? Like he's got detail other guys don't have, and the serratus here and like paper thin skin. But this is a still shot. I'm telling you, when
it's also
he
the
was
front.
Yeah, exactly. And as he's moving around, that granite look that's usually across the top of his chest just disappeared when he moved around, and it had come back, of course, and then when he's hitting his poses. But it's usually he usually just looks like a walking statue. And
he did have a film of water. You can see it there. You can see his legs are a little watery.
Yeah.
Sure.
It wasn't his best.
I mean, his not best is still great.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about Hassan shaking. Yeah, I saw Arnold talking about that. Like, there's no shaking on stage. You got to be conditioned and ready. That's called taking too many diuretics. I don't think Arnold knows that. I didn't use diuretics in his day. I know that look from a mile away. That's called an electrolyte imbalance. When they start sweating and shaking, it's when you know they need to drink a Gatorade. Got a little carried away with the Lasix.
What'd you guys think of Wesley though, redeeming himself?
Oh my God! To me, I'm probably biased too, but to me, I thought he was the standout of the show. To me, I thought he was the best person, bar none, out of all the divisions.
Yeah, he really did look good.
To me, that's what a bodybuilder looks like. He's big, he's symmetrical, he can fucking pose. He's a professional. I mean, just like That to me is what a bodybuilder looks like.
Yeah.
But Menegate was the Brazilian. He was nothing to shake a stick at, right? Like
He was great.
If you look at the scorecards, it was Wesley was ahead by a lot, but
yeah, I'll pull that up here in a second. Yeah, I thought it was amazing how much he improved since the last time we saw him on the Arnold stage, for sure. I mean, the legs is something he's always been knocked on, just kind of having. Well, it's tough. He's a big guy, right? We know you can relate, Paul, being a tall dude, filling out.
Oh, it's hard to fill out your legs. I mean, he's taller than me.
Yeah, and but he did a fantastic job. I wish I knew where to find it, but there's a photo of him from. I think it was either his last showing or last Arnold and this Arnold. The difference of his quads, and it's night and day. Did you say you knew where it was, Paul?
I'm going to find it for you.
Okay. But yeah, that's what they're looking for too. That's something people don't take into consideration. These judges remember you, and they're looking at where they docked you on points before, and then they're seeing if you can make the strides to improve these things. Because I think what was it last year? He went from the year before he won the Arnold. He went to what, like, was it 5th place or something? And then he went.
Yeah, he went to 5th. Well, he got sick last year too. Remember, he had food poisoning or something.
Right.
Going on.
Let's see.
Now I can't find it. Of course I can't.
Let's bring this up. I'm sure they got the judging for that's men's physique. Oh, we not have classic in here?
I've got it. You want me to share it?
Yeah, if it lets you. Yeah, let me drop this down.
I'm going to put it in the private chat for you, Dave.
Okay. Here we go.
It's crazy how much he brought up his legs. And he was only 5 pounds heavier. I think he said 6 pounds heavier. That's what that looks like.
Give me 1 second.
I
Dave's
clicking the wrong button. I thought it was a PDF, but it's a PNF.
Crazy with Wesley. He's still under the weight cap.
You want to? Oh, you can add this.
Was that you, Mike, bringing that up?
Yeah.
Okay. Pull it back up. Yeah, so we got Wesley, obviously unanimously, and and then
First,
and then they had second place. I can never say his name. Menegate. He looked good. I thought he was fantastic too.
He looks like the Brazilian Chris Bumstead.
Yeah, I mean, he was really like, who was the guy that won the Olympia? There's another Brazilian cat.
Ramon.
Ramon, yeah, he could have hung with Ramon, but Wesley on his A game, man, he was right at his heels.
Let me see if we can get this picture up here of Wesley. Let me take a look. Yeah, big difference. I mean, so much fuller everywhere.
I mean, look how much more quad sweep he has. His adductors are filled out. Vastus medialis is filled out. He's just fuller all over.
And you're thinking, I'm sure he's knocking out both photos. I'm sure he's knocking right at the top of his weight cap.
No, he said he was under.
Oh, really?
He said he was still 6 pounds under this year. 7 pounds, something like that. Last year, he was like 12 pounds under. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great showing. I think he's a great example and a great ambassador of the sport. It's hard not to like Wesley, for sure. I enjoy his actually he's one of the YouTube guys I enjoy watching his stuff. He's I think he was a nutritionist by trade or whatnot.
Yeah.
And he's always got some good tips on food, which I'm always interested in eating more food.
Yeah, he's really good with the diet.
Yeah,
and he's just, I've talked to him a few times. He's just such a nice guy too. He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
family
Well,
guy.
well deserved. I'll tell you that much. Well, let me drop this down.
I'm also fanboying a little bit. Again, I love Wesley.
Yeah.
So I do got one question you guys can help me with, though, is what does this say for Nick, though? I mean, you see people like Nick, and it's like, what more can a guy like that do? It's not a matter of hard work. I mean, it makes me wonder, is he ever going to get past? Is there anything he can do to get past Andrew without Andrew slipping? You know, he's kind of tapped out to a point.
I mean, he brought the best version he could possibly bring out there. He you know, he's maxed out his genetics. His presentation is great. You know, everybody knocks him on the midsection, and he did a fantastic job of controlling it and keeping it tight during the show. His condition was spot on. I mean, he couldn't have done anything better. If Andrew had just been a little bit off, if it had been the version of Andrew that was there last year, he would have won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really true.
He may have won the Olympia with that look.
He probably would have won the Olympia with that look.
Yeah. You know, this year the Olympia wasn't, I mean, you know, not taking anything away from Derek, but it wasn't Derek's best. You know, he looked great, you know, not taking anything away from Derek, but he would have been hanging right there with him. It probably would have been those two in 1 and 2.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, what is this? You know, the other thing I'm curious of too is when we see these shows, what does this say for the Olympia coming up, though? I mean, does it give us kind of an idea of what they're looking for? Are we, you know, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on picking is aesthetics the next thing for sure, because I'm starting to believe that, you know, they're looking for. You know, I think Samson's going to redeem himself. I understand it wasn't the best Olympia for him, but I feel that the Samsons and the Andrews and these big imposing looks, these big 6-foot guys that come in with tiny waists, more muscle than anyone, it's really kind of where they're headed, I believe, with bodybuilding.
I mean, that's what's impressive. Sure.
But
I mean, a big guy with a lot of muscle and a small waist.
It kills my heart knowing that the mutant era, you know, these big freaky mass monsters might be a thing of the past, might be dinosaurs of the past. Not to say that Andrew and Samson are big dudes, but that's not their as much as their strength.
You seen Samson in the off season? That motherfucker's 360.
No,
wild, bigger than ever. I don't know when that guy stops. Like at a certain point, you're going to run out of muscle to grow.
Yeah, he's 360 right now. And he's still lean. Yeah. I mean, last year I don't know. I think they let people get in his head too much, and he looked like he over dieted.
Yeah, I think we all saw that for sure. That's not his look. I don't know why he didn't play to his strengths. You know,
I would just say fuck all that and just come in big as fuck.
Well, it's just his wife training him this last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, supposedly.
Let's take a look at this. I think we got. Give me a second here.
You know, it's funny. These guys, people think they don't listen to people on social media. They definitely hear people. I mean, how could you not? It definitely can get in your head. Yeah. And everybody's saying he needs to be more ripped. He needs to be more ripped, and it gets in your head, and yeah.
Yeah, but you know, a good coach doesn't necessarily let you hit the floor like that, you know.
Nope. This is him. That's 2024.
Oh, okay. It said 2 weeks ago. I'm misreading. Either way, impressive as hell.
Yeah, it's 2024. I'm gonna see if I can find the one from
his 364 pic that he posted the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just it kind of it just kind of breaks my heart to see that some of these guys that work they all work hard, and I'm not taking anything away from the Samsons and the Andrews, but you know, a guy that takes this as a hobby comes very good to him. It comes very somewhat easy without, again, not taking anything away from him. It just I can't think of a way or anything Nick could have done to have won that. Like you say, you show up with your best and it's still not good enough. It must be a difficult thing when you're knocking at the door, when you're still in a top 5 position in the world.
Well, that's assuming that the guy has really plateaued. I mean, he still grows every year. I mean, this is his best conditioning package we've seen him bring to the stage in a long time, but
I'm gonna pop that up on the screen, Dave. He's making the 212 guy look small.
Oh man,
this was a guest posing a few weeks ago. And that's
still pretty lean. Look at the lower back. I mean, that's not nuts. That's there's some fat there, but it's crazy.
Pretty lean 360. Looks like me right now.
what do you think? How much of that weight do you think he'd actually bring to the stage, though? I mean, he's going to drop. He's going to be
he can't even get his fucking arms around his back.
Yeah.
What a freak.
Look at this. Look at this shit. That's crazy. Well, you know, a lot of that's water.
Right.
I mean,
probably he's probably 340, 350, something you're saying over here?
360, I think is what they said.
Wow. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him with your strategy. They just come in blasting full, you know. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't like
310, 315.
Sure. I don't like seeing guys, you know, play not to their strength. You know, it doesn't seem to ever really go very well in this sport, you know.
No, play your game, know what your game is. Like, you know, he's on stage, when you think about it, he's 60, 70 pounds heavier than Wesley. Right? So Wesley's game is be shredded, excellent presentation. And that's how Wesley would win.
So we got to ask, what do you guys think about, unfortunately, there is a side topic with our guy Martin kind of losing his marbles a little bit. A lot of people are ganging up on him right now. I feel bad because it is true. There's a guy on the other end there. There's some unsportsmanlike conduct that none of us are fond of. None of us really like to see. But we've all, and Mike and I talked about this too the other day, you know, we've all been a little messed up in our head that close to a show and kind of gotten the wrong thoughts in your head. And I just hope ultimately the guy's okay. You know, we all make mistakes and that's going to happen. And I hope that the next thing that comes from him is trying to take a stride in the right direction, you know, and just kind of show that it's some sort of acknowledgement and some improvement from where he's at. But he doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's kind of almost doubling down. Every time he kind of opens his mouth or posts something, it's not what I see in the right direction. But I think it's worth just again mentioning that, you know, we've all been in there a little bit. I can say for myself, I've been in some kind of dark spots, not getting the placings I want from a show. And it takes you a while to kind of see straight and realize, like, yeah, this is not the most important thing to kind of lose my mind about.
I mean, he has a track record of being a hothead.
Yeah.
I mean, for people you talk to, yeah, and I do try to remember that there's a human being on the other end. But we've all had that jerk friend, you know. We know that guy that you can't take anywhere with you. That he, you know, I remember a buddy of mine. I loved him to death, man. But like, it's like we would go out to bars and he'd always get in a damn fight because he'd run his mouth and he couldn't control his emotions. Yeah. And that, my guess is that he's probably has some sort of mental health issue that's unaddressed. You pair that up with blasted a bunch of trend, being in a caloric deficit. Just Jesus Christ, somebody paid $50 to answer a question. Really wants a question answered. Appreciate it.
We'll pop it up in a minute there for sure.
But yeah, you know, look, I hate cancel culture. I hate people wishing negativity on other people. Like, I mean, we're all fallible. We all make fucking mistakes. Have some fucking grace. Don't be a douche about it. But at the same time, his behavior was unacceptable. I mean, from what I heard, he shoved Nick backstage and got in his face for no reason. And I heard that he didn't show up at the booth for his sponsor. They paid for him to be at the booth. He didn't show up. He was also there was people posting screenshots of him getting into arguments in chat with fans, basically. And look, I've been on the other end of that. I've had some people send me some awful goddamn DMs, and I probably told them to go eat a fucking dick. And not, you just have to have some restraint and not do that. But I get it. When I was on contest prep, this is why I have a little bit of sympathy for him. My DMs and my comment section were just full of negativity. It's crazy, man, how people just wish failure on you. And if you're already struggling with a mental health issue, or things are a little off, and you got some trend in there and you're a caloric deficit doing cardio, you're not sleeping, I could imagine, I could see a situation where you could potentially snap. And that's what it seems like, that maybe he had some sort of break. And we saw it on stage. Now, that doesn't excuse him from being a dick. I would hope that maybe he's got a good mentor in his life, somebody that can get a hold of him, a group of friends that maybe could rally him. I don't want to see the guy retire. He was talking about quitting. I don't wish the end of his career on him, but I remember the guys that are older would remember this, but I remember a guy back in the late 90s, early 2000s that spiraled like that, Craig Titus. And he ended up losing his shit and murdering his assistant, and it was just a fucking crazy situation. But everybody could see him coming unglued a mile away. So hopefully, and I'm not saying that that's his situation, but hopefully he's got somebody who can get in his ear, somebody who can get him on the straight and narrow, somebody who can help guide him. He probably needs to be talking to a therapist. Probably needs to take a break from competing for a while. Maybe I saw where Andrew Jack offered to pay for him to go on a vacation, which was very gracious of him to do. He's like, the guy just needs a break. I'll pay for it.
And sometimes you don't step up and look for that help. So sometimes, like, I've been in positions where I kind of let myself a little self-implode and I stay quiet, and from bodybuilding, I'm talking specific to the sport itself. And sometimes you just hope you have somebody that will come and seek out, what you need. You got a buddy that'll kind of just reach out to you when you're not looking for help. So hopefully he has one of those. If he's one of those guys that just keeps everything bottled up, I know, Paul, you've been my coach and you've been a good friend of mine, and it's the same thing. There's been many a times I've been quiet. You've reached out, you've been a good friend. And sometimes that's what you kind of need. And I hope that ultimately, I wish him the best, and I hope that that's what he gets, is if he's not looking for the help, I hope somebody can clearly state to him, like, hey, man, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It just sucks for the moment. And how you can, rely on the people that love you to kind of move forward. And hopefully he just sees the light, because you let yourself just sit in your own turmoil. You usually never really pull yourself out. Usually it's okay to have a helping hand once in a while, for sure.
Unfortunately, I've seen situations like him before. Usually people like that have to hit rock bottom before they can come back up. And some people never do. I mean, both of you are recovering addicts, right? I mean, you have to, there has to come to a point where you have to just say, I need to make a change and need to take accountability for things that I've done. And then I think only then you can start to work on yourself and fix things. And I think that's probably where he needs to, somebody needs to get in his ear and say, look, dude, you're fucking flushing your career down the drain. Somebody that he'll listen to.
Sure.
And he needs to acknowledge that and take some accountability and then start working on himself. And if he does that, he's still a young guy, man. He's got a bright future ahead of him. He could be Mr. Olympia if he keeps his shit together.
Yeah. You look like you got something, Mike.
Yeah, it's just that I think that's the magic pill here is just personal responsibility, you know. And his first response when people got on him about his own behavior, his first response was to blame somebody else. And all this happened to him. And every post that he posts, he sounds like the victim. And Paul's right. It's a lot like addiction, right? When you late stage addiction, when you're like, if you guys would all just do what I wanted you to do, I wouldn't have to drink every day, right? It's like the same thing where Martin's kind of at that point where it's like everybody else keeps picking on me, and here I am at the bottom. You got your wish, or you know, like that last post he posted, and it's like, dude, you know, when you're in a hole, stop digging. And you know, no one wants to see you fall, bro. Just they want to see you take responsibility and say, you know what, I acted out. I was an asshole. I was, you know, you don't even have to make an excuse. That's all you have to say. It's like, I'm going to do better. That's all people want. I fucked up. I'm going to do better. That's really all his fan base wants. And if he did that and got back on his game, he'd have new sponsors in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to do, though. You got to put your ego aside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you nailed it too. Like you everyone around you can want you to get better or do something about something that you're messing up on, whether that's, you know, for myself, I can talk from addiction, you know, but until you want that yourself, nothing's going to happen. You can't force hand, you can't force nothing. You can't twist my arm until I hit kind of a scenario that I go, okay, I want change. It can't be forced on you. So hopefully in a weird way, I wish that upon him. I hope that he gets that sensation going. I want change. I don't like what's going on. I don't like the scenario I'm in. And he does something about it. Because you're right, Paul. He's way too young. You know, I remember going to his first show that he had his pro debut in meeting Martin in the Texas Pro when we worked with Gasp and Better Bodies. And he was ecstatic to be fourth place at his first show. You know, and it's just something else to see what he's become. And to see a little bit of a step back, or, you know, I don't really want to call it a downfall. I don't think it's quite that yet, but, you know, it's, I wish he would remind himself of that day. Cause that was one of the first things I thought about was watching him do his first pro show and how happy he was just to be on freaking stage, you know?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody, I don't know who it was. Somebody was telling me that they competed with him in, I think it was 2019 in North Americans. And they said he got second. It may have been to Nick. So this may go back a while. And they said that he punched a hole in the wall backstage and was, you know, throwing a tantrum backstage.
I've seen that happen at the NorCal Fitness Classic when we were competing one year. This guy showed up who was just, this is an amateur show. It's not even an NPC sanctioned show. It's as amateur gets. And this guy shows up with pro level physique, right? Like, I don't even know what he was doing at that show. So everybody's already a little upset that he's even there. And then, you know, he won the open. And then he had also changed his trunks and hopped into the classic physique. Well, they gave the classic physique to another guy who really, his shape lent itself more. And the guy threw a fit. He's like tossing swords around and like, you know, turning over tables in the green room and stomping off. And everybody's like, whoa, like he totally lost his shit.
Well, we all know there's some bros that can't take trend.
Yeah. we
know a couple of those people. Look, dude, I don't fucking take it anymore. I you know, I don't get mental like that, but we all know a guy or two that probably shouldn't be using trend.
Yeah. Me, my first show ever. A little loose marbles. Luckily, I was all right. But what do you guys think about what Tanya had to say here? Do you guys think that Martin's behavior and rep has actually pushed Nick to be better example or more professional in response? It's obviously a flex to remain calm and not engage. I mean, my first thought is Martin's Nick is pretty level-headed. Like, he's taken a lot of second places with grace, you know.
Nick is very level-headed. I'll be honest with you, man. If a motherfucker came up and put their hand on me backstage, they might not get that hand back.
Yeah.
I don't. If that truly happened, I mean, that's some incredible patience and
yeah.
You know.
Well, I think that's Nick being in that position. Probably, I'm sure Nick's felt the way that Martin's felt, but maybe not acted upon it too. so maybe it's a little wisdom.
Yeah, but Nick's taken a lot of flack from the social media sphere and just everywhere for a long time, and he's always carried himself pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
This question, does the IFBB have a therapist they can go to? No, I don't think the IFBB does nothing.
Be the most hard-working the therapist would need a therapist once he's done with all of us. That's for sure.
No, you're an independent contractor. You're on your own. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some of the show organizers reached out to him. Who knows? Maybe Arnold said something to him. It's possible.
I think it was to bring it back to. I think it was Mo Fuda who made the point of, and this is what reminded me of it, of Nick Martin, Kai Phil kind of scenario. There's been rivalries in the sport for a while, and Phil and Kai's one that pops up that's very, prominent in all of our minds. But they didn't have quite as much social media. They didn't have people just bearing down in the comments like there is today. And some of these things are like just a flame that they just completely stoke, and make a scenario. And I just feel bad for the guys because you should have
I'm telling you, if you're already struggling with mental illness, social media is not a great place to be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty level-headed, and it was really fucking getting to me when I was prepping for Masters Nationals, man. There were a few times I was like people were sending me nasty shit, and I was like, fuck you, man. You do nothing, piece of shit. And that's not the response. I mean, I shouldn't be doing that. I've just gotten to the point where somebody's a dick. I just block them and move on. But and I'm not on his level. I hope
Jonah's looking out for you here.
I don't drink anymore. I haven't used it in years. Every once in a while I get tempted, it's like, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. And then I remind myself, no, not a good idea.
Well, speaking of mildly crazy, what's up with Mike Sommerfeld?
I think last thing we all heard is he had all the intentions of doing Detroit and couldn't sign up in time, was a couple hours late jumping on the plane. You'd think he would have had that kind of ready to go.
They said he didn't calculate the time zone. No, they said he didn't realize that Vegas was in a different time zone. That's what they said than Detroit.
Yeah.
So
which is crazy. He didn't know what EST meant. That was what he said. But he also doesn't understand that you don't grow in between shows, right? Day late and a little too short.
I mean, there's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's just a carefree kind of doofus, for lack of a better description. Just the opposite of what Martin is.
Aloof. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, he's living the dream though, man. He doesn't even have a house. He just lives in Airbnbs and travels the world.
I dig that a little bit.
I mean, that's my dream life.
Yeah.
It's Studio 182 Digital Pro checking in. What's up, buddy? You guys check that channel out. We were Mike and I just hung out with them last night. Real great guys.
Was that?
Studio 182, Eric and Austin's new channel.
It's Parabolic 33 is what they call the channel.
Yeah. So I don't know. Any final takes on the show? Anyhow, I mean, I'm not complaining with who took first. I think that Andrew well deserved it. I think he's really did well, and he's the kind of guy I'm ultimately becoming more and more of a fan of. He used to be a little quiet, and I didn't know really what I thought of him, to be honest. But he's earning his spots more. He's improving more. He's doing the things that you want to see in a bodybuilder that you look up to. I'm becoming a fan, and I think he won. At the end of the day, I would have liked to see Nick win because I'm a Nick fanboy, but can't win them all, right?
Yeah, Andrew won me over when he was offering to pay for Martin to go on a vacation, and then when I heard that bodybuilding is just something he does on the side.
Yeah.
I was like, what? like the best. You're like one of the best in the world, and you're just doing this for a hobby. That's fucking crazy, man. You know, yeah. He seems like an you know, I kind of knocked him in the past for his posing, and it seems like this is the opposite of what, you know, that's somebody that heard criticism and worked on making improvements, and turned it into a positive. I mean, that's how you go. That's how you go about using that stuff, is you take that and you turn it into a positive, and that's what he did. I mean, he just has gotten better and better, and I think posing was probably a weak. Now, knowing that he has a full-time job, no wonder he wasn't, you know, working on posing as much as he probably should have, because Jesus Christ, man. You know, you got a career, and then
he's an engineer. I mean, that's you know, he's got big brains and big muscles.
yeah, electrical engineer supposedly.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, you know, hard not to like that guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, for the heck of it, before we hop off, let's hit a couple of these questions we had.
Well, we got to get the dude that paid $50, man. That's an important question. I mean,
absolutely. Let me get up to it here.
So that's like an entire steak dinner.
That's right. Cookies 12034 says, during a cut, how low to run test to hold the least amount of water?
I mean, as you get leaner, man, you're not going to hold. I mean, I ran 1,000 milligrams of test going into my show last year, or 2 years ago. Or maybe I got down to 750. I don't remember, but I didn't take it that low, and I was pretty dry. It's, you know, just the more fat, more water, and a lot of it has to do with aromatization. It's really the aromatization that's going to drive water retention. So it's not really a matter of test. I mean, I would go by the look. I know the traditional methodology on a contest prep, or guys that are trying to get lean, is to shift the equation towards more DHT derived compounds and less 19 NORs, and outside of trend, you know, less DECA, less D-ball, less testosterone, things like that, and lean into what the old school bros called the dry compounds, which are basically ones that don't aromatize. So it's really the aromatization that causes the water retention for the most part. But there are some of the DHT derived ones, like Masteron seems to lower mineral retention and gives you that so-called thin skin look, which Winstraw, and I think Masteron to a certain degree, lower collagen synthesis, which ain't great for you in an off season or long term, but gives you that thin skin look when you're getting towards the end of a show, and less mineral retention. So yeah, I mean, look, it goes by the look. I don't know if I could tell you an exact dose, but just see how you're looking. You may, and here's the thing, like I think guys are always looking for some magic thing to change. If you're improving, this is something that I'll never forget on my contest prep where I won my pro card. Roman, we were talking, I was having a private conversation with Roman. I was like getting some advice. I'm like, what do you think I should do with my cycle? And he's like, are you getting better each week? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, then don't change a thing. Just leave it alone.
Simple. I think there's a couple of caveats I'd add to that, Paul, is I wouldn't be in a rush to worry about making yourself any drier than you have to be if you're not fully lean. You know, like if you still got body fat hanging around and you start trying to take these tactics that are going to dry you out, let's just put a timeline on it. Let's say 4 weeks from being at the target, and you're just trying to dry yourself out when it's a matter of body fat. There's two things that's going to happen. You're going to be fighting against losing that last bit of body fat. And secondly, you're going to feel low estrogen if you're using like AIs to dry. You're going to feel your joints achy. Your performance in the gym is what's going to get you
so smart, Dave.
Yeah, you taught me well, man. You know, but also, like, you want to walk out of, if it's a show, you want to walk out of it with kind of landing the plane. Like, you don't need to worry about putting the landing gear down to the last moment, really. I mean, you got to plan this ahead of time, but if you're 4 weeks out in your conditioning, whether it's a show or it's an event, a photo shoot, and you can't get up and do your training adequately because your joints are aching and estrogen's got you feeling sick as a dog, you know, because it's completely depleted, I'd be careful with that. And then, you know, you're also getting yourself in a spot where joints can kind of, ligaments can tear. You know, you're not at your best training condition when you're that lean. So I try to time it wisely. I'd worry about getting in shape first, and then you can then you earn the opportunity to do that next step.
Yeah, and I would add too, like, you put it in context. We've been talking as if we were getting ready for a competition, but he uses the word cut here. So, if you're a guy who's 19%, 18% body fat and you're trying to get down to 10, it's a different discussion. If you're only on testosterone, you're not stacking other compounds, but you want to stay at 500 or 600 milligrams a week and not worry about water retention in a cut, then it's just really it comes down to managing your E2. And if you're not taking a secondary compound, DHC compound like Primo or something to manage that E2 for you, then make sure that you're using the proper amount of AI. Like overusing an AI will make you feel like crap. So it's important just to manage that number.
Yeah. Great point. Max just wants to give us a shout out real quick. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Max is a client of mine. Max is great.
Yeah. Appreciate you being a positive guy, Paul. Explains why you hang around with Dave and Mike. Honestly, I don't know why he does hang out with us, but he does.
I don't know, you guys are good dudes. That's why I hang out with you.
What about this one? Is there, I feel like this is something that's kind of situational, but is there anything Nick can do to get his gut down or a little bit more pulled in, a little more streamlined? I know where you're going with this, Michael, with the question.
I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I was going to say he's worked on it for sure. And every year he's improved his waistline for sure. But there's little things like this would actually be a great Tanya question too. But little things like for me, I'm one that doesn't have the smallest waistline. I always got to be kind of careful pulling, not doing anything that's going to inflame my gut as I get leaner. So it just shows even more. But there's also, you got to work on gut control in the sense of vacuums, posture, not always letting it hang. Like I'm sitting here right now trying not to let my stomach hang and just get used to having it protruding out all the time. Believe it or not, those little things are small dividends that add up to a tighter waistline for sure. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't, I think his genetics where he's at, I mean, he's a wide waisted guy. When you're built like that, you have to lean in on your strengths. I mean, the way you make your waist look small is just to be big as fuck up top, right? Which is what he does. And I think he has controlled his waist. I didn't see his gut hanging out at all.
No.
On stage. He did a really good job controlling it. I think coming to the show,
I'd almost tell him whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I mean,
I don't. It was the best he looked. I thought that was the tightest he looked. For guys that have waist control issues, working your transverse abdominis is something you can do. I think going into shows, guys that tend to have bulkier waist, you got to be really careful with the food intake. Going into shows, like eating high volume food, especially when you're dehydrating, basically. All that food's just going to sit in your gut. But to me, it looks like his waist has improved over the last couple of years.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, that was the conversation, right? After he won his first Arnold at 22 or 23, that was what everybody said about Nick, was that he had a big bubble gut and that was always going to wreck his chances of being something great. And I think he's improved on that look significantly. And I don't know what you do to shrink your waist that much, but if you could pull up a side-by-side picture of him when 22 versus today, like he's done a lot. He's done a lot.
Yeah. Well, you're fighting kind of the inevitable, right? Because every year he's trying to pack on a little bit more mass. It's requiring the same amount of food, if not more, as you get bigger. So you're just kind of fighting, trying to hold your ground as well. I tell him, whatever you're doing, Nick, you're doing it pretty darn good. You're doing it better than what most people are doing, for sure.
He coached himself, which is crazy, but I don't know what else he could have done at the show. I don't think anything else. What else could he have done?
And he didn't sweat. He didn't huff and puff. And they definitely posed on the night number 2 on Saturday. They ended up posing these guys pretty hard in some of the comparisons. They kept them going. And plus, that's part of the show. But Nick don't shake. I mean, these back doubles, he is a statue. And it's just it's not easy. He makes it look easy. It's difficult. We've all been through posing from start to where we are now, and it's still not easy by any means.
Yeah, you want to talk about mastering your gut? Look at Brandon Curry. I keep going back to him, but man, he's 43 years old now, and how tight his waist is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think Brandon's gotten better the last couple of years.
Yeah.
True. Well, you had Bill Bonac too, who came back and who's done really well in his 40s, but even he doesn't have that tight little waist like Brandon does.
Very good point. I think from what Justin was saying, they kind of lucked out too. He was having a little off stomach the night before, and they really found a way to put it all together and have a great showing. Great showing for sure. I'm excited to see what's next for Brandon, because I think a lot of the crowd, a lot of the fans kind of saw the same thing we saw. They wanted to see a little bit more of Brandon being compared to the top call out, and so I'm curious where he goes from here. Let's get a couple other quick ones in here.
I know with Bill Bonac too, like these guys who are in their 40s, like it just seems like there's this barrier to them ever being considered as top 4 or 5 guys when they get to be that age.
Roden when he won the Olympia, I think he was 45, 44.
Who?
Roden.
Sean Roden.
Yeah,
I'd say all of that. Yeah, he was easily 42 to 45, somewhere in that range. Yeah, and that was kind of his peak, I thought, when he won, for sure.
Yeah.
Laredo asks, what's the best way to use cleanse, starting dose, titration, and to what dose over what time period? So I'm not going to really give you a dose, buddy, but if you're not familiar with it, I'd just say, start at the lowest dose, and pretty much you're going to know you're using cleanse. There's some telltale signs. You definitely get a little bit of a stimulant effect. Some people are a little shaky. I wouldn't be in a rush to be raising the dose. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you're paying attention to your metrics and you're pretty consistent on everything else before cleanse goes in, you should have a kind of a baseline to a point of what you're dropping week by week. So let's just say you're already dieting, you already got a cardio plan that's working, a recovery and a training plan that's working, you're dropping 1 pound. Let's say you introduce cleanse, you get another 1/4 pound for number's sake. That's pretty darn good. I would ride that out until whether you feel the sensations of that compound or not, before you kind of mess with the dose. Kurt always told us, just because you don't feel side effects doesn't mean it's not working.
Yeah. When people get that, I love when people think just because they feel something that it's working.
Yeah.
That was always the knock on Primo back in the day. Like, you don't feel anything on Primo like you do on Trend. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not fucking working.
Yeah.
There's side effects. There's a difference between side effects and effects.
Listen, the holy grail is to be able to put something in, get 0 side effects out of it, and get all the gain. So start looking for that, because there are sweet spots for people with, especially fat burners. I think people get a little extreme with the stimulants to a point. I've come to learn that I can't handle them like I did when I was, in my 20s by any means. And then you got to look at, like, are you going to exchange a small amount of fat loss for poor sleep quality, poor recovery? We know cleanse can kind of play with your mineral retention and your electrolyte balances. Where are you with those things? Are you consistent with those things, replenishing them back? So just make sure you cover all your, I wish I could give you the perfect answer, but it's the boring answer. It's start low at the most minimum effective dose that you're aware of, and start there and be patient for a few weeks and build data, and you be wise about what you're doing. Don't be in a rush to just more. Greedy is no bueno.
I'll tell you, on my last contest prep, I was the best I looked, and I used the least amount of fat burners that I ever have. I remember I started, I think it was about 8 weeks out. I started at 20 micrograms of cleanse. I went up to 40 after a few weeks. Then I went up to 60, and then I backed it back down to 40. And then I dropped it like 2 weeks out. I didn't even run any the last 2 weeks. So, take that for what it's worth. But there's the right amount is the minimum effective dose, whatever you need to get the job done.
For sure.
That's the problem with fat burners, is like, you guys want to shortcut the fat burning process. And when you push it too hard, a lot of times you end up just getting flat and stringy. And that's ideally in a prep, you want to keep the most amount of food in, do the least amount of cardio, and use the least amount of fat burners you can possibly get away with.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's going to yield the best look.
Yeah. I got one other quick thing, might as well add on it too, is be careful you don't become reliant on the stimulant aspects of these fat burners too. What I mean by that is you kind of get closer to the show date. Let's say you're 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, and you start using these fat burners just to get your ass out of bed, and get you going throughout the day. I've been there, and Paul's seen my backyard. It went from nothing to show prep Dave going crazy and creating a quite a nice landscape. And that's what I did. I made the dumb mistake.
That's some shit done, Dave.
Yeah, I'd be on Clen and ECY and whatever, a couple stimulants and a ton of caffeine too. And you just go to town all day. And yeah, it suppresses a little hunger, but you become reliant on that. And you forget what makes you look good on stage. It's not looking stringy. It's not overdoing things. It's like creating the right amount. Like a good recipe for a cake doesn't mean more chocolate all the time. Sometimes there's the perfect amount. You know what I'm saying? So be wary of that, because I've seen that mistake happen plenty of times.
You're so wise tonight, Dave. I'm going to make you my guru.
I trained legs last night and I did pretty good. And today I'm still half brain dead. I'm coming alive. I got one more and then we're going to call it a night.
I did legs today.
Did you?
Did I tell you I tripped down the stairs coming out of the house, carrying my bag down, and I think it sprained my ankle.
Oh no.
My ankle was really sore. It really hurt like fuck today doing legs.
In the house?
They keep you from training them?
Yeah.
You're saying in the house, the wooden stairs?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I clipped my heel on my big ass size 15 feet. I clipped my heel, carried my suitcase down and did the barrel roll down the stairs.
Imagine if he was caught in that air vent at the very bottom of the stairs. He just slid right down and went through like a trash chute right to the outside. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I twisted my ankle up pretty good. It was a little swollen the other day. But I've sprained my ankle so many damn times. Yeah, a little bit, but we're long kids. You just keep training anyway.
Yeah,
just a sprained ankle. Just go.
A little BP and TB will do you some good. Let's see. We got one more here from our buddy Pal Stallion. Do you guys think it's realistic for a first-time competitor to get super peeled for a show? What normally can stop guys from reaching that extra level of conditioning? So assuming first show.
I mean, I usually try to push guys the first show to get as lean as they possibly can get so they can get a good rebound. But you're not going to have a lot of muscle, right? So a lot of times you're not going to look great get up there. But you got to think the long-term thing. But
I don't know, Mike, what do you think of it? Is there something that comes to mind that may be a mistake you made first go around, or you've seen other people do that keeps them from hitting that good conditioning?
Yeah, man. I mean, you've got to, I don't know, my first contest prep, and I've seen other people in their first prep, including a guy who just quit on me that I was working with, is just, managing that hunger. I mean, nowadays we live in the world of GLPs, which helps with that a little bit, although, it's somewhat subjective how long you should be taking them for in a prep. And I think people are starting to see some of the downsides of that come full circle, but just really mastering your control over your diet. I did 6 weeks on fish and egg whites, man. I just had some stubborn fat, and my coach was not going to let me get on stage not peeled. Like it's, and I think Paul feels the same way too. It's like it's his reputation on the line. If you look soft, he didn't do his job, and so I suffered, and be ready to suffer. The first one's the hardest because you have fat in places that you've never had to shed it off before. So
it gets easier after that, right?
It does.
Yeah, and you work the hardest the first go around. I gotta. And yes, Gonzo, he's got it right. You give it your best shot too sometimes. if you're gonna go nutso, it's usually your first show. But I remember on my first show, I have a picture of myself hitting a back double bicep, but the picture was taking from the backstage, so it's showing my front, it's not, and then showing the crowd behind me. And I am so peeled, just where you would normally see. So all the guys are lined up, they got their guts hanging out. I'm literally completely peeled from the front side when I'm trying to show my backside. And I just remember looking at that going, yeah, I think I went a little nutso on over dieting, a little hard. I looked like you could have just turned me on a lazy Susie and been like, this is the front double and this is the back double. I actually liked that picture to kind of show how lean I got.
I would say the time to suffer and just gut it out is that first show. 99% chance, unless you're Derek Lunsford, you're not winning your fucking first show. Even Nick Walker didn't win his first show. Right? Just go suffer, get as lean as you can possibly lean, set yourself up for a good rebound. And if you get yourself down to like 5-6% body fat, next time around it's going to be easy. If you don't get super lean for your first show, you're going to have to do it the next time. It's just going to, I don't know why people, I just go, don't worry about, just make it on stage, get as lean as you possibly can get, learn how to pose. Those are your jobs on your first show.
Yeah.
Yep.
You telling me you don't win everything the first go around? Jackie's probably sitting there going, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Well, I mean, she's a freak.
It's a rarity.
I think I got, what did I get? Fifth out of 6 my first show, something like that.
I think I got,
I don't remember. It wasn't good.
It's so funny. It's hard to remember which is or which. I think I got 2. I think I got a second and like a third in my categories or something like that.
I gave away my first place showing at my first show because I'd made a rookie maneuver and was like, there was a hotel gym right across from where the Expo was, where the show was. And I was over there trying to get a pump real quick. And I didn't hear that we were like the first one that they were calling. So I literally came running onto the stage and I'm like totally breathing hard and sweating.
Oh, geez.
Like total first rookie mistake. Now there was only 3 people in my division and I got second, but even the guy who beat me is like, I thought there was no way in hell I was beating you. And I beat myself really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just not being, following directions.
All right, we're gonna try this quick rapid fire. I'm just gonna give one word, quick answers for this one. What do we do if you inject tren, testosterone, and estrogen at the same time? I don't know. Let me know. 6 grams of sodium a day, too high? No. I'd say no. Depends on the person.
Why the fuck are you injecting estrogen?
I don't know. He must have heard us talking about IGF-1 and estrogen the other night. Only stimulants I handled in my 20s were sold by the gram. I know exactly what you're talking about. Same here.
Allegedly.
Show, you got it correct. Clen equals tren. I mean, no, Clen equals tren. Clen equals chocolate. I highly disagree. Tren equals sprinkles, possibly. I could not imagine yard work right now. Tanya, go rake the lawn, please. Or ever, really. And that's about it, guys. That's it. Anyhow, we appreciate everyone jumping on. This was fun, guys. It was one heck of a show. I'm glad we got to see it. And I'm excited for the Olympia now, for sure. I can't wait to see what kind of mix-up we're going to have. It's it made me think if the Olympia Derek was standing next to Andrew, what could have happened the other day? We'd have a different topic, or if we'd have a different Mr. Olympia, for sure. So I'm excited for this year's Olympia. It's going to be
it's going to be great.
Absolutely. All right, well, everyone, we appreciate you guys joining us. You guys know the drill. Be sure to like and subscribe and tell us what you disagree with us in the comments. And I got everybody's socials in the description below. Be sure to hit up Paul or Mike or myself with any consultations, coaching, or anything we can help you with. And until the next one, everybody be good and grip it and rip it.